for the title card. Dude.
Boom.
About 8 seconds. It's about an 8-second wait. I counted that one out.
Well,
Boom.
I realize if I click on the video again, it stops. So just keep that in mind.
All right.
Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mack Flash Five, the show where we like to get together and list our 5 favorite movies fitting a certain topic. But this episode is not going to be about movies. In the whole grand scheme of things, it's going to be specific parts of a movie vehicles. Who I don't even have a driver's license. I don't know how I'm going to even list these things.
I have a pilot's license, truck driver's license, motorcycle license.
Truck driver, there's your guy right there.
Yeah,
True.
So yeah, today we're going to do our favorite or list our top 5 movie vehicles. These could be planes, trains, automobiles.
All 3.
They could all be from the same film.
Hover rounds, right? It could be hover rounds.
Wheelie skates.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or wheelie shoes, rather.
Yeah, absolutely.
Escalators, kid riding escalators.
Yeah.
Hold on, guys. We got to redo it.
How the show works is after we decide on a topic, we go our separate ways and then come back with our list of 5. Usually we like to do 3, 2, 1 and have 2 honorable mentions, but I think this time we're going to do all 5. It's pretty much determined that this might be a shorter episode. It's very likely that the 4 of us will maybe at least double on some and maybe even triple on one. That'll be interesting to find out. I picked this topic though, so I'm going to start. And I'm going to start with my number 5. This car, it's a car from a movie.
Ooh.
Yeah, there we go.
Secrets.
We talked about our favorite movie cars once before, and this was my number 1 during that discussion because of its practicality. And my number 1 is, let's get this going.
Well, you're number 5.
My number 5, excuse me, is the Ecto 1
Yeah.
from Ghostbusters 1 and 2.
Let's talk about it. I got something to say.
Now, in our discussion earlier, I made this my number 1 because it's got a lot of trunk space. You can get so many groceries in that car.
And ghosts.
And with the siren and the lights and everything, cars are going to get out of your way.
That's true.
So you can get home with ease. Now, obviously, it's the car from Ghostbusters. They use it to go from job to job. It's a 1959 Cadillac hearse/ambulance. It can be converted into either one of those. And I think they went with the ambulance type there, be it with the lights and stuff. But it's almost, I think for many of the vehicles we're going to talk about, they're almost characters in their own right.
Absolutely.
It's a very iconic car. You can find it in die-cast form, Lego form,
Funko Pop form.
Playmobil.
I wish. Did you have the Playmobil? I have the diecast. I should go get it. We all have it.
I have the Playmobil in the cargo hold back here. And it made the conversion to the animated series, so you can find the animated version of the car in toy form as well. When you go to Comic-Cons, you find people with their own replicas or their own version of an Ecto 1. You can take any white car, put some lights on top and a Ghostbuster sticker on the door, and you have your own Ecto 1.
Your Ecto 2, 200,
Your Ecto 2, yeah.
200 XL.
But Scott, you wanted to talk about it. So.
I was gonna put it on, and then I looked at. I'm like, it's kind of overrated. I don't know. It looks really cool. It's just cool. It's the lights. And listen, and an incredible shot is when they're with like the armed guard and the tanks, and they're in. When he's like,
let's
what do
run
you
some
need?
red lights.
And it's unbullievable. And I was just thinking about it more. I'm like, it doesn't do any. It just looks really cool, which is maybe what you need in a vehicle because the white looks great. The fact that it's got the hearse look, like doodads and lights, and it's sweet. And then I'm just like, I don't know. It's kind of an overrated vehicle. It doesn't do it.
The one big thing that it does, and we haven't really mentioned it yet, is the distinct siren, right? The distinct siren, because you hear that siren, you know that what's coming, right? And it comes around the thing. And so for me, it's not even about the look of the car or the look of what's going on with the car. It's that it's like the weird English siren that comes with it, and that's its own thing, right?
But like even then, you see the trailer for the new one, which comes out next summer or whatever, and it has a gunner seat, but then. It's just like they never used that. They just invented it for like the new one, so they could. I don't know that kind of.
But functionality doesn't necessarily make like if you're talking movie vehicle memorable. What pops into your mind? Like this pops into your mind almost instantly, right?
I have the Ghostbuster shelf, and it might be my 5 to 10, but I was just like, I don't know, kind of overrated.
Well, and I won't disagree with you, but that is exactly why it's number 5.
And exactly why it's my number 5.
Yeah,
which is cool. Which is why I won't say much other than what Matt has already said to see if we can get 17 minutes on this episode. But for me, it was all in just the fact that seeing it made me smile. And when I had the toys, I had the car, and it was just so much fun. Like it put me in the places of one of those Ghostbusters, right? And it's just silly. And like Matt said, with the cartoon, the animated show, it translated so well to that because it is almost kind of comical, right? But I mean, so is the movie.
Well, so just the fact that when Ray gets it, he lists off the laundry list. Basically, you're repairing the entire car, but he's like, look, the siren still works.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing with that scene, right? It's like he's literally you have to buy another car.
Yeah. To
fix the car.
Yeah, it's not winning any races, but it looks pretty. And that's why that makes my number 5. All right, so what do you got, Scott?
What's cool? My number 5 of 1994.
Give me a second.
Oh yeah.
Oh no. Oh,
my bad.
Okay, I'll talk about this one. That's fine. We'll talk about this.
Sure?
This will be my number 5. This is Dom Toretto's. This is going to be my number 4. Can be my 5. Dom Toretto's 1979 Dodge Charger. And what it is, it's from the first Fast and the Furious film. The reason this makes my list, it's first Fast and the Furious film is legit a good movie. And Dom Toretto plays like the Swayze role. He's the robber. He's kind of the criminal with the heart of gold. And he does all his robberies and high-speed chases in fancy, cool muscle cars, which I know very little about. The reason I like this car and what the context it means for the story is that that's his father's car. His father who passed away, who's like this profound effect on his life and the neighborhood, and he's in the shadow of his father. And it's in it. He only works on it. He never drives it. He'll never drive it. He's scared to drive it, kind of like Nick Cage in Gone in 60 Seconds, but done better because there's like the father-son, and he left it to him. There's all my picks. Take them in, guys. And in doing so with this, he finally at the end, as chasing in, the walls are closing in on him. You see it. He comes through the train tracks, and he's driving it. And he finally mustered up his own personal strength to overcome, his father's legacy. If you're adding more context to the Fast and the Furious. And pathos when there used to be before they became what they become. But again, for what it means for the story, I'm going to go with Dom Toretto's father's 1979 Dodge Charger.
Does he drive that throughout the whole I don't know anything about the series.
No, so it's in the 1st and the 6th, I believe, if memory serves. Oh, okay. I know he has it back again in the 6th. But the first movie, and then again, they kind of do the Point Break ending where he gets to go, Point Break, Keanu lets Swayze surf off in the distance, and be killed by the waves. In this one, sirens are coming. He lets him get back in the car and drive off, and that's how the first Fast and the Furious movie ends. So they cross paths later on as well too, and then they make a whole bunch of movies off of that. But like I said, for the context of the story, because he couldn't drive it, because he didn't want to, he was in his own father's shadow, and there was like that whole, like I said, it's some acting stuff, some really good stuff in the first Fast and the Furious. I'm gonna pick the Dodge Charger from the first Fast and the Furious film.
Cool.
That's great. I know nothing about that car.
Yeah, it's like I said, it just looks really, really cool. It's a cool muscle car, which I know very little. I know I have a lot of friends that will know a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
But for the story, it's pretty cool plot device for the film.
Yeah. For other people who are maybe watching, it's number one. Definitely.
Yeah.
Right on.
Well, then it depends on what you're choosing it for too. If they're like, this is just a sweet ass car versus, like you said, plot point. There's lots of different reasons to put things in the spots, right?
It uses, I'm just going to say too, because it runs the risk of being a speed ripoff, which the first one is, or Point Break ripoff. But like I said, the car gives Dom Toretto a ton of character development and like pathos, and lets him not be a one-track criminal. Then the car does that. So, first one, legit good movie.
All right.
AB.
All right. Okay, so 3 out of the 4 of us love a certain thing quite a bit, and I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about it for the very first time on my own list. And I do have a love for a lot of British things, and I've always had a special place in my heart for double-decker buses. I always thought them to be hilarious.
Spice World, finally.
Yeah. Double-decker buses have always been a thing that it fascinated me, and I've loved them, and I've loved them as far as British things. So this is from a franchise that 3 of us like a lot, and I am talking about the Happiness Hotel courtesy car.
Oh,
The modded double-decker bus that travels around the town picking up the Muppets, and obviously you have it modded out. You got Pop there driving the car there, and one of the things I love about the bus is there's Muppets hanging off of everything. They're hanging off the bumpers, hanging off the back. The back is they're carrying a trailer full of chickens in the back there.
Yeah,
and the best part about it for me is Electric Mayhem's got the entire top half, and they're just rocking out. They're funking out in the top of the bus, playing little things, and everyone's having a great time. Everyone's jamming out. Kermit's getting into it, and it has a really killer song to it too, which I'm like, this is so good.
Let's hear a love song. It's hard rock.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you say, Andrew? I'm not sure if I missed it. Which Muppet?
Yeah, it's Great
movie?
Muppet Caper.
Okay.
It's from the Great Muppet Caper. Anyway, yeah, the full band. Look at it. You got the full Electric
It's
Mayhem
like Mad
there.
Max Muppets.
Yeah, and
might come up later, but that is literally Mad Max Fury Road.
Before they push some of them off, and there's only the guitar guy left.
Yeah. So for my money, the number 5, it's actually pretty hilarious that it's like the first time that Muppets has been on my list. It's been on everybody else's list except for mine, but that's going to be the first time. The Happiness Hotel courtesy. It's called the Happiness Hotel courtesy car.
It's that scene's got a lot of my favorite lines in the movie. Oh, like starting with Pop's like, "You're gonna have to sit in the front seat. The back seat's being quarantined." and then later, Miss Piggy asks, "Are these your friends?" And then Kermit says, "Oh, just the one on the fenders."
Yeah.
Fozzie and Gonzo, who he travels to England with, are hanging off the side of the bus.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of my favorite scenes too.
It's a good pick. Man,
I knew. I've been. It's funny. Like, I just give everyone else's reference. I've been hyping that pickup last couple of days. I'm like, you guys are gonna love my number 5, and I'm so glad it lived up to the hype.
How can we get Muppets on every show?
From here on out? It's a
way
requirement. It doesn't matter. It was like top 10 most depressing movies of all time.
I'm reconsidering the kills list. Should we have? I don't know.
Okay, well, my number 4 is again another iconic car from another iconic franchise. Let's get this up. Excuse me. It is the Aston Martin DB5, James Bond's car in
Cool.
Goldfinger and several
Goldfinger.
other films. 3 James Bonds get to drive this car. Sean Connery, Pierce Brosnan doesn't come back till GoldenEye, and Daniel Craig gets it in Skyfall, and he'll be driving, or he gets it in Casino Royale. It returns in Skyfall, and he'll be driving it again in the next movie coming up, No Time to Die. Now, I'm using this clip here because you get to see quite a few of the gadgets that come with the car there. We saw the ejector seat. Q demonstrated that for him earlier in the film. But when he receives the car, it's really the first good Q scene in a James Bond movie where he hands them each gadget and says, please return these in pristine order, which would become, part of every movie for like the next 100 years. For as long as the James Bond movies will exist, there will most likely be a scene where Q hands him a gadget and says, bring this back in pristine order. And we're going to see here, he is not going to attempt to do that with the Aston Martin because it gets wrecked, but not so wrecked that it can't appear again in Thunderball, which it does, and uses quite a few more gadgets, including like the bulletproof screen there. You've got machine guns in the headlights. And this really doesn't make James Bond out to look all that great because he's being tricked by a mirror. But and then we have Oddjob, everyone's favorite henchman,
but not favorite GoldenEye character. That's a no.
Not with slappers, that's for sure.
But it became iconic, and to the point that in Skyfall, it's am I frozen?
Nope.
Oh, you sped up a little.
Yeah, there you are.
That was pretty, man. Right. That's this. We got CGI now.
Our budget went up.
Yeah.
You guys, okay.
There we go.
Let's just sync up a little bit.
We can just dub over this later. I really enjoyed.
My next video is loading up on the other screen here. It's screwing me up. So, anyways, in Skyfall, it's James Bond is presumed dead, and when he comes back, it's revealed that all of his stuff is put in storage. Later in the film, they go to that storage unit, turn on the light, and the DB5 is sitting there.
Yeah,
the whole theater, reacted. They were so happy to see that car again. That's how much of a cultural icon it is. With regards to the James Bond series of films.
Yeah, I figured that was going to be on your list for sure.
It makes sense. It's awesome. I
listened to a couple podcasts this week about vehicles, obviously in preparation, and they all listed. They didn't even go as far. Like the two that I listened to didn't even go as far as you to pick up that specific Aston Martin, which I was like, that's kind of lame. They just said the Aston Martin in general because there's been the different models. I'm like, that's kind of lame. They at least picked the iconic one.
Well, knowing very little about Bond, I quite enjoyed hearing how many times it sort of reappeared, which really makes sense then that it is very iconic.
Yeah.
And not just in one of the...
It's a pop.
Well, of course. I didn't doubt it for a second. All right, so moving on.
Moving right along.
Yeah, I know, exactly. That's topical. So... I don't know. I'm going to assume you guys all just predicted what my number 4 was going to be. So let's just get right to it. It is. I'm trying to get this into all of my lists too. It is my favorite movie on water. The Trimaran or however you pronounce it, from 1995's Waterworld.
I didn't know it had a name.
Yeah, well, that's like the type of boat. That's the type
okay.
Of boat. Yeah, it doesn't really, because he's very mysterious, right? This Kevin Costner's character here. So, when the vehicle list came up, I thought, I think some of us talked about this. I'm not a car guy. I don't know a whole lot about cars, but I was trying to think of what vehicles sort of drove the storyline or were sort of a character in and of themselves. And when you think of the movie Waterworld, the whole premise being that essentially you there is no land anywhere that they know of, and you have to have something that you can stay on in the water to survive. And this is Kevin Costner's home, his vehicle, his lifeline. And I just find it fascinating. Sort of, I've never seen a boat designed this way, the way it is, and what he can do with it by swinging those. So sort of the I think they're called booms, and swinging things around, and how he hangs off, and how he fishes and dives, and all the things he does off of this is quite fascinating to me. It's probably part of the reason I really enjoy the film. So for me, I felt like it was sort of like, almost a secondary character to the story, because he spends so much time on it, and it eventually winds up getting destroyed, which actually is, I mean, not a tearjerker, but a sad moment, because it's like, well, if you don't have this, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? So for me, and I'm sure for no one else, that is my number 4.
Accurate.
And it is not a car. So there you go.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's a real cool pick. I mean, obviously Waterworld gets a lot of Mad Max like references, right? It's Mad Max on the water, and it's the same kind of deal. In Mad Max, if you don't have a car, you don't survive, right?
Yeah.
And you got to have a car to move around, and it's the same thing there. That if you don't have a boat or something to keep you off the water, you're not going to survive, right? You got to be able to move around. So yeah, very cool.
What you got, Scott?
Cool. My number four, which probably, as I think of it, probably rightfully so, should be my number 4. It's more central to the plot. It's from a film we all have seen and we all love. 1994 gave us the Mutt Cuts van. I should have sent it in bigger spec.
I love
it's the 1984 Sheepdog, sir,
the
from Dumb and Dumber.
The fabric, just the idea of the fabric. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Dumb and Dumber is the funniest film. We could talk 5 hours. We all can. We're all children of the 90s and teens of the 90s, and I was a kid, and it's a TBS special. I can't count how many times I've seen this. In triple digits. There's no lie. It's the number 1 movie I've seen the most. And just like, again, the Mutt Cuts van fits so well. They go on a cross-country tour. It's where, until they get to Aspen, obviously before when he trades it, but for 2/3 of the film, it's like the third character. They're in it, they're going through, they pile it full of people, hitchhikers, everything that happens in the second act happens in the Sheepdog. And like I said, if you saw that coming down the road, you would just be like, what assholes are driving that? And it just fits to Lloyd and Harry. Because you would be like, oh, and when they get out, you would be like, oh, those are the guys that I would imagine would drive that.
Yeah.
It's just insane. It's just an insane vehicle.
Well,
he picks up the leg to fill the gas.
That's my favorite. And it's
spilling. It's good comedy, man.
Spilling.
It's unbelievable. Everything about it. It's so, as far as just something that I wish was viable. Give me a flocked pop vehicle of that.
There you go.
I own no flocks.
That is going to be a pop, I believe. I don't know that it's flocked, but I believe that's a ride coming.
I think
so. Definitely coming.
It would have to be. Why is there not more Mutt Cut stuff?
I always thought, whenever I saw it, like Mike said, where it's like it's material, right? It's like fluffy material. I'm like, how is that a thing where like you're driving around? What happens if it rains or in the winter time, or like they get it clean, or like you have to like shampoo it,
it's perfect for the film. Like
I know.
You don't. It's just unbelievable.
Impractical.
It's like
it's so impractical. Man. Yeah, and they take it. It's cool that they take it across the country. Those are some of the best movies. Like I couldn't have picked. I don't pick a Chopper from Easy Rider or anything like that. But for a cross-country film about travel where the vehicle is the most important part, I picked the Mutt Cuts van.
Radio. Who needs a radio?
That's another one. There's no radio that works. So they sing Mockingbird.
Similar to the Aston Martin DB5, that when it makes its return in the Dumb and Dumber sequel, the audience in the theater erupted in absolute joy.
I only remember, there's bits I remember. I remember that. I remember the shrub jokes, but I saw the movie once. But yes, I remember the scene when the car comes through and busts over the hump.
Exactly. And that was because I think me personally, and maybe for everybody else in the audience, and that's why it got such a big ovation. The movie was not good.
It was
Movie's
awful.
awful.
It was really
And then
awful.
we saw the car, the recognizable music hit, and we're like, yes, we're on our way back to nostalgia town. And then the car breaks down, and we're all like, oh, we're gonna continue with this crap now. We were so upset that the car breaks down in the second movie. It was just like a
Yeah,
waste
and they
of
take a
time.
Zamboni or something.
I
Who
think
cares?
I don't even
that sounds
remember.
right.
I don't even remember. Yeah,
Who gives a
literally.
shit?
Yeah.
Dumb number 1. Incredible. 10 out of
Yes.
10.
Best.
Yes.
Top 5 of comedy ever.
AB, what do you got?
All right. So I am going to go to a franchise that we love, that we'll probably be talking about multiple times on this very episode. I know we've talked about it on other episodes. I am not going to go with I might have 2 from the same franchise on this list. This will be my number 4. And this was one of my favorite toys of all time. I still have this toy. It's one of the biggest toys that I own, and I used it for not just playing for this specific one. I used it for playing with other toys. And I'll start this just to go. I don't know if you can. Oh yeah, you can read that. We're going to talk about the AT-AT.
Cool.
Awesome.
And so the AT-AT, or also the all-terrain armored transport from 1980s Empire Strikes Back. It's getting a little glitchy here. It's super iconic. In the theater, when you heard it before you saw it, right? You get the scene in Hoth when you feel the rumble and you feel the ground shake, and they don't know what's going on. You get the binoculars and you can kind of see something off in the distance. You don't really know what it is, and then when you see it in full view, you're like, "Holy crap! Look at this thing!" And like you can see the scale of it in that picture there compared to like the people on the ground and even the speeders that they're sending after it. It just dwarfs everything, and I just love I've always loved the look of it, like the way that it moves. It's like nothing else I've ever seen. Like I love just everything about it, and like I said, I've loved the toy. The toy is probably goes up to my knees even now. It's huge, and like I had other action figures, and I would play with them in that thing. And not just my Star Wars guys. And I love the AT-AT. And I love the whole concept of the only way they could bring them down was with the tow cables.
Mm-hmm.
And then they bring the flashback or the new ones in Last Jedi. They make them so you can't do that again. And the way they're set up, they kind of the way they engineered it. They're like, okay, well, we've seen what you do there, so we can't really do that now.
Got to learn.
But I also love, for me, one of the greatest things in Rogue One is when they have the AT-ATs on the beach.
In Rogue One, prototypes at that point.
Yes, and that is one of the greatest scenes in Rogue One for me, is when they show up at the beach and they just start decimating the guys on the ground. Yeah. Like even sure the guy shoots a rocket at it, hits it in the thing, and you're like, oh well, that one's dead. Nope, comes right back around, starts blasting back away at them.
AT-ATs are so cool too. Like you said, you see them walk and they stop, and then the head turns, and then they fire. Is low, like a really underrated, like just set look how it turns and then it fires, like how it fires on Luke Skywalker when it turns and then fires is so cool, man.
One of the things that always cracks me up in Empire is right before they're about to blow the generator, right, the power generator. It's literally like, okay, take your aim. Like literally a second before, they blast some guy, just some random dude that's running on the ground. They're like, pew, 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 and they're like, then they fire off into the. So they had to take out that one guy that's just running along the ground, like right before they take out the main generator. But every time I'm just like, that poor guy. You just had to shoot that one little guy on the run on the ground.
Had a tow cable. They didn't know. Definitely the coolest toy, especially because it had multiple things, right? You reach in and you controlled the head, right? And then you had the sounds, and then you had and then you had the lights go, right? It definitely one of the coolest, but also one of the ones that were like, very precarious as far as like you did not want that thing to fall over.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? But it's definitely fun to play with. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, seeing it brings back memories of the movie, but right after that, and maybe tying it, is the Nintendo 64 game, Shadows of the Empire, in which the first level in that game is to take these things down. Now, you can shoot them down. You fly at them, shoot at them. It brings down their life percentile down a little bit, and you got to fly off, make another pass. Or you can get close to the legs, fire the tow cable, and fly around it until it.
I remember that.
It tightens up. They fall over, and you get the challenge point.
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, that wasn't that easy, was it? I don't remember. I remember that being difficult.
It can be, but after 20 odd years of practice, it's far easier.
It only takes 20 years to master.
It's funny. Like I swore off playing video games or like owning video games, and then like. A few years went by and Star Wars Battlefield came out.
Battlefront
came out. And then Battlefront came out with #1, and you actually can drive and add at. And I was like, this is why I've sworn off video games, because I would never leave the house. If you could tell me I'm just going to drive an AT-AT around, I'm just like, I'll never leave. I
almost was in the same boat. I'm like, I don't play anything. Am I getting a PS4 and now a PS5 for like 2 games a year? I'm like, I couldn't do it either. Like, I remember in Battlefronts, and they've gotten better each time and more story intricate, and like they're almost like Call of Duties as well. And you're just like, same thing. I'm like, I gotta sit this out, because like I would use up all my time. I would never get to the gym, and I would just burn DLC and spend like $700 on downloadable content.
Yeah, so that was like looking back at that, it was like that was a very good life decision, because Battlefront came out, and I'm like, thank you that I swore off video games. Anyway, that's my number 4. Number 3.
So my number 3 is a vehicle that I had the toy of, and it's from. I mean, they're all iconic vehicles from iconic films. My list is very much like, you could probably guess all 5.
This is our toy list, really, right?
It almost is. Every one of the vehicles on my list is at least a Lego, for sure.
I wish there was toys for my own.
So that'll bring us to my number 3.
Yeah, I knew it.
1989, designed by Anton Furst, Batmobile.
Yeah.
From Batman and Batman Returns. Now, you first see the movie, or you first see the Batmobile just after the art gallery scene, and they're running out, and Batman says, "Get in the car." She says, "Which one?" Well, maybe this one. And it has an amazing shot, and they get in, they drive around the block. That whole movie is shot indoors, so you can't do a whole lot of stunt driving with it. They go around one block, they get stopped by a cabbage truck and have to get out and run. Eventually, they get back to the car, and they have this amazing, almost artistic scene of the car just driving its way back to the Batcave. And you can, after seeing this, you can see so many other movies replicate the shots, the low camera with the car going by and then leaves blowing up. If you ever see that in a movie, it's because they took it from this. But like I said, I had the toy. I don't have the Lego. That Lego might be brand new. It might have just come out. But as far as I'm concerned, this is the best Batmobile of all time. And I'm including the Adam West one, which was cool, convertible, and very iconic in its own right. But that, absolutely, the Batmobile. My number 3.
I agree that it's definitely my favorite Batmobile for sure. People take the Tumbler, people take the 66, but I'm like, that thing is it looks so sleek and like just stylized. I love the little round thing in the front there, like almost like a bullet on the front.
I had that toy. I had the Batman Forever toy as well too. Forever was cool. It had the slits and it lit up blue. I remember that. That was really, really cool. But no, it's the best one is the first 89 and Returns. And when he locks it.
Oh yeah.
That
so cool.
scene is, I think I watched it with Natalie this summer. when he does that, I rewound it and just watched it again. It just looks incredible how sleek it does. And for my money, one of my favorite scenes in 2 is when Penguin's riding the video game and he's driving through. I love that scene. And when I was a kid, I remember watching that in theaters and being like, that's incredible that he has that he's hooked, that he's going through and just running people off the road. So yeah, that's cool.
And it's got the voice recognition. You got the remote control where it's all right, stop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is actually may or may not be a joke they lifted from Mr. Mom. He does that same joke in Mr. Mom like years earlier because the vacuum kind of roams around the house on its own. And I guess he has some kind of remote. He says, stop. All right, now do the kids' room. And the vacuum goes off into the kids' room to clean that.
That's funny.
Fantastic. All right, so we're at number 3 here, I believe.
Yes, sir.
So just to connect back to a reference Andrew made, obviously I love Waterworld, inspired by another film that I love with another iconic vehicle, which is the V8 Interceptor from the world of Mad Max. And like I said, I'm not a huge car guy, but when I thought of vehicles and vehicles that play vital parts to a movie, this is one of those. It's essentially one of the last pursuit special vehicles that they have in this world where gas is everything, and so is having a decent car that you can actually get somewhere. And this specific one is the vehicle that it's sort of pieced together from the last pursuit vehicle and made and sort of used to entice Mad Max to stay on the police force in the first film. He kind of wants to leave that and go live his life, with his wife and son. And they piece it together for him, and he still says no. And then eventually some things happen in the film, some not so good things. And then he winds up saying, "F this! I'm kicking that vehicle, and I'm kicking some ass." And then this returns in Road Warrior, and as well you see it. I mean, not with Mel Gibson, of course, but you see it as well in Fury Road. So it's very iconic, and essentially is, for my money, what you think of when you think of the series Mad Max. So that's why that makes my number 3.
Now keep this up just for a second.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if they took this art and turned it into like an Australian postage stamp.
Oh, wow.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Oi, the last of the V8s.
And I actually love it. Actually love in the top corner there behind him. It almost looks like it's a DeLorean flying through the sky.
Yeah.
But
I love
anyways,
his gog there.
Yeah,
3, but I know all about that. But I've never seen the first 3 Mad Max.
Oh, really?
I've only seen Fury Road.
You gotta watch 2.
Comes up. Yeah.
Well, I would. Okay, so
not my Thunderdome. I have my only Thunderdome is in WWE.
Road. That's number 3.
No, that's 3. No, that's number 3.
No.
Road Warrior.
2 is Road Warrior.
Road Warrior is by far the best.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, I feel like number 1. Every time I rewatch it, it wins me over more and more.
Sure.
Like, and I feel like you do need to watch 1.
Well, you need to see how he got broke. You need to see how he got broken in 1 to have the impact for the rest of the series.
But a lot of people say just watch for Road Warrior, right? Like it's like, oh, it's
no,
just
of course.
sort of a better one.
Man, it's me. I would watch all 3. I should. I mean, I think tomorrow. Honestly, I bet you I screenshot. I'm gonna have the first one on tomorrow at work. I bet.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely sort of ditch Beyond Thunderdome.
Fun fact: when you do watch Mad Max, Toe Cutter is Morton Joe. So Morton Joe in
Not
Fury Road,
yeah,
same guy is
same
Toe
actor,
Cutter.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and
that guy.
I dug deep on that because I was like, okay, I know this is the same guy. When I rewatched, I went, this is the same guy. But people are trying, people try to do this, right? They're trying the mythology and trying to make, is it the same guy? Could he be a Morton Joe? But it is, they have said no. It's just the same character or same actor playing 2 different villains.
Yeah,
of course.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. So
my number 3, I'm going to go a little off the grid. You probably wouldn't expect that I like this so much. I had all vehicles and cars and stuff, and I wanted to do something, like I said, that was important to the plot. Now we're getting into the ones where I'm like, oh, that is actually incredible. That would be something I would want to drive. I got a bunch of cars coming up, but I wanted to do something in the motorcycle realm. And I was thinking, I'm like, okay, there's lots. Like Maverick Drives is a cool one from Top Gun. I'm like, there's definitely some choppers. There's the one from T2 I could put. But realistically, when I thought about it, one of the coolest things I've ever seen, this one. Oh man, these pics are so small. It's the light cycle.
The light cycle,
Tron
yeah.
Legacy.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about it. It's really anticlimactic because if it was bigger, you guys would be like, "Oh!" But it's
I know what it
really
looks
tight.
like. I've seen it.
Of course, you guys all do. You've all seen Tron Legacy. The thing that sticks with me with Tron Legacy is the score and the soundtrack. I listen to that Daft Punk M83 soundtrack on the regular. It is incredible. It's something I always go to. It's perfect listening music at work when I'm not having a movie in the background. And like I said, I always come across the scenes of those bikes racing. The light bikes look incredible. The big tires, the way that you ride them there. And then again, the streak that it makes as you go through. Visually stunning, incredibly important to the story and mythology of Tron, if there is a mythology of two films. But otherwise, it's very important to the concept and what they do. So again, just on coolness, on lasting, on the fact, like I said, if I ever have a few minutes, I'll YouTube the scenes of it and be like, God damn, this looks really, really, really cool. And it looks great in Legacy. So yeah, the light cycle from Tron Legacy is my number 3.
I will say light cycle from the original Tron almost made my list, but then I kept questioning the fact that it wasn't real. It was like a fabrication in a in a false reality. And so then I went, this isn't a real vehicle. It's just a video game.
Yeah.
Can't make my list. So I took it off.
I just love the way that it works, like especially in the first Tron, where it's just a stick, it's just a bar, right, that they put on, and then the bike goes around them. Right?
Yeah, it's cool.
I mean, like, imagine how cool that would be if that happened in like our own reality, where you literally walking around with your car. Your car is like this big, a little rod this big that you just like keep with you. I'm like, all right, I'll see you guys later. Like drive off. Like. That would be incredible. Like, all right, scientists, why haven't this happened? Why are you still explaining that the Earth is round?
That's true. But in my future, I feel that, like I mentioned earlier, I will have mine with me all the times. It will be a hover round, and I'll just travel around on it. I can't carry it, but I'll just.
Your hover round will leave like it's like a trail, like a very slow trail behind it.
You're gonna have the chairs
because I drove through some honey I spilled or something.
Awesome. All right, mine. So I always like to shoehorn horror stuff in here, and this is going to be no exception. I mean, this is obviously iconic. It is a very integral to the plot because it is the plot, and this is my only, like, I guess my first one is a car. Technically, it's a bus, but this is my only car, and is a 1958 Plymouth Fury,
of course,
and her name is Christine.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's awesome.
From 1983's Christine, directed by John Carpenter. I just watched this the other night. I love this movie, and I love the effects in this movie. This movie, if you don't know, is about a possessed car. It is actually in the scene right here. It's made in Detroit, Michigan. Comes off the assembly line, and so our character, who's kind of a nerdy kind of guy, kind of gets it, kind of fixes it up, gets into some trouble with some bullies. Bullies beat the crap out of his car, and you'll see coming up one of the coolest scenes for me. Again, like we talk about practical effects versus CG. If you watch the scene coming up where the car is literally fixing itself, and you see it coming out, and I've seen the behind the scenes on how they do it, and it's so cool how they have these like hydraulic things where it pops everything back in place. It's actually plastic. Like a lot of these pieces are plastic, and it actually pops.
I've never seen this. This is unbelievable.
And like it's just like it's like you could do that with CG now, but you could tell that CG. This looks incredible. This is 1983. This is like almost 40 years old, and it just looks super cool. And you'll see this part coming up here is one of the greatest shots for me in any horror movie. You'll see it coming up later on in this scene, but super iconic. And in fact, another movie later on called, I think it's Strangers 2, kind of steals the scene from it and does kind of like an homage to it. But one of the things I like on all John Carpenter movies is his score. He does his own score. It's the synth score, and he incorporates these like synth stabs every time that Christine does something, and it's part of her character. Like when you hear that synth stab, you know, like she's about to do something terrible to somebody, right? And so like it's kind of like part of it. And so you'll see this part coming up relatively soon. I ran it a bit too long. But yeah, this whole thing of it driving down the street on fire is one of the coolest things, and you can see right there, like that is so absolutely cool. And like, you know, John Carpenter, this is 1983, he actually has a car that's on fire and somebody's driving it on fire, driving it down the street, and it's just so cool.
Ghost Rider, isn't it?
Look at that.
Sure.
That is an amazing.
That's cool.
That is an amazing shot.
Stuntman Mike, man, he's driving.
Probably the one of his early gigs.
Maybe I'll watch Christine tomorrow because I'm loving. I've never seen it. This is cool.
Just wait, there's 2 more picks.
There you go. Gets that guy. I think Christine is on Netflix. It might be on. I just watched it on one of the streaming things last night.
You know when you said horror? Is it a horror? Vehicle or whatever. For some weird reason in my mind, I pictured, that movie Frozen where they go up the ski lifts. I was like, he's putting the ski lifts on the thing? I guess that's a vehicle.
Well, one of the other ones I was thinking about was the Jeepers Creepers truck, because that one was cool too. Yeah. So I was actually thinking that, but I don't like to give that. I love, as much as I like Jeepers Creepers. There's a whole bad stuff going on behind the scenes. But anyway. I went with Christine because she is iconic, and we already we always talk about our conventions that we go to. We actually saw Christine in person at Niagara Falls. She was there. She was there. She was there.
Signing autographs and everything.
She didn't kill us
because I didn't care.
She did not kill us. Thankfully, she let us live. Right. So.
Spoiler.
Thank you, Christine, for allowing us to survive, and thank you for that photo shoot that you allowed us to do. Anyway.
Now, is the car's real name Christine, or is that just for the film? What, did she have a different name?
They always have those animal actors that are not named what they are in the movie.
Yeah. Her name is Florence.
Right.
I'm gonna fact check that later.
What
do you got, Matt?
Don't do it.
All right, my number 2 is got to be my favorite movie car of all time. It's not my favorite movie vehicle, but certainly the best thing on 4 wheels for sure. The DeLorean from Back to the Future trilogy.
DHC.
Now, it's interesting because in the original script, they wanted to use a refrigerator. And
I mean, talk about this.
And of course, they thought, kids are going to like this movie. We don't want them getting trapped in refrigerators. Like, okay, let's turn it into a car.
Has proved, yeah.
And what kind of car are we going to use? Well, let's use. I mean, Doc says it in the movie. Let's get something with some style. Yeah. And it's funny because the rise of popularity of the car because of this movie was through the roof, of course, but. DMC was already bankrupt before the movie came out. I think they got the car cheap for sure. And then, there's no company that can make them anymore. But it's, let me see here. I don't want it to go on as far as it's supposed to. But I mean, I know it's on at least one other person's list in here. And I don't know if that guy wants to continue the conversation. It is definitely my favorite movie. Look at all the accessories. And people take the DeLoreans they do own. They're obviously collector items now. They buy them, send them to a place in Texas, I think, get them rebuilt to look like a Back to the Future DeLorean, and make money sending them to conventions and stuff like that.
I don't have anything to add, but I will say that is also my number 2.
Oh yeah,
so we're really meshing.
That works.
We're really meshing here. How can that not make the list? I mean, let's be honest, it's just fantastic. If you think of a movie vehicle, this is the coolest one in my opinion. You can go anywhere in it. You know what I mean? Anywhere in time. That's all I got. That
there's that, but there's something about its not, I don't want to call it unpracticability, but since it only in the first movie anyway, since it only moves through time, you have to be wherever you want to be first before you go back in time. Because wherever you go, you're just going to end up in that spot. In whatever time frame you are. It's not until the second movie where they get the flight capabilities that you can really get to be. Again, you're only going to end up where you left from, but you can get to other places far easier.
But who cares? It travels through time. Like that's like, if I want a regular car, I'll buy a regular car. All right, I'll drive it.
I prefer my time travel in police boxes. No, I mean,
I thought you were gonna pick when you said earlier the double decker. I was like, oh, he must be going with Doctor Who. I'm like, how is he gonna work this?
Well, I mean, technically,
the movie, like one of the Christmas.
Technically, there is a movie, but
show.
Well, no, it's my number one. We'll get to the DeLorean. You had a really fun 2-minute video. I'm gonna wait till my little Bitmoji picture gets uploaded, and then I'll talk about it then.
I hope it's smaller than the last one.
Small. It's my number one. It's the coolest goddamn. We'll get to it.
So
let's do my number two though.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do my two. So, and I agree with you. The '89 Batmobile is incredible. It is iconic. It is cool. But this is favorites, and my favorite is from 2004's Batman Begins, the Tumbler. The photo not to scale. I'm going with the Batman Begins Tumbler due to the fact that when the first set photos leaked out of that, I was like, this looks ridiculous. This is really like really weird that they're coming back. He's gonna drive a tank. Like, I don't know, man. Batman's got like he's gonna be a ninja, but he's not going to have like the precision vehicle. I'm like, that's kind of really interesting. And then we had done an episode a long time ago about best movie experiences we ever had. And on mine was Batman Begins. I was blown away from top to bottom, from the first second of the film to And You'll Never Have To, lights up, camera, Hans Zimmer score. And in it, the major plot point is how he gets his stuff, the cave, all this. And how he gets the Batmobile, and the Batmobile being part of the Wayne Tech weaponry, and the scene with when he goes to Morgan Freeman and he's getting his suits and he sees and he's like, "What's that?" And then they're like, "Oh, you wouldn't be interested in that." And then how he goes through the vehicle techs and he's driving it, and the very, very incredibly delivered, very cool. Does it come in black? Which I used when I bought my Jeep Wrangler. Part of the reason I picked the Tumbler is because sometimes I feel like I'm driving the Tumbler when I drive my Wrangler. And I had printed off a sheet that I knew that they had a white Jeep there. And I took it to them and said, I'd like to buy this Jeep. Does it come in black? And I felt, and they were like, let's check our inventory. Yes, we have 2 in black. And I was like, awesome, I'll take one. And I took it without test driving it. So I didn't have my Morgan Freeman bridging vehicle rampant jump scene. But otherwise, I got to use the line when I bought my Jeep, and the Tumbler is my number 2. I think it is an incredible. The chase scene is awesome on rooftop. He's driving a black tank is great, and I didn't even get to the Dark Knight pop. You want to talk about theaters popping? There was audible, loud applause when the wheel starts going and the pod shoots out. Is an incredible ability for Batman to have, because of course the Batpod would be built into the vehicle and it would have a second function and the detonation as well too. So again, I thought, like I said, even though the 89 is cooler, makes a cooler toy and it looks great, my second favorite vehicle is the Batman Begins Tumbler.
The Tumbler, when I saw the movie, I was like, this is causing far too much destruction.
Yes.
As far as Batman is concerned, he's supposed to be in and out real quick.
Yeah.
But the chase scene is really good. The Batpod shooting out is terrific. I was hoping though that they would include the bat as part of the thing as well. Like it would pop off the top. Yeah, and that would be his plane helicopter type vehicle through.
No doubt, that makes sense.
And in Dark Knight Rises, there's a bunch of tumblers, which Bane gets his hands on and starts using.
Awesome in the snow, and they're like the beige camo. The shot of the three of them when he's delivering the speech and they get out, awesome, man. They look incredible in beige camo.
All right. My number 2 is from a movie that I've talked about before, a movie that I like very much, that I've seen a ton of times. And one of my favorite things from this movie is this particular vehicle. And that movie is 1986's Aliens. And
the kid's big wheel?
no, this is the UD4 Cheyenne dropship.
Oh yeah.
And you'll see it come up. This is the combat dropship. It is one of the coolest things that I think from the movie. When what it is it's used by the Colonial Marine Corps to get quick dispersions in it. So it has that little ramp on there, and it has the APC, which is their armored personnel transport, and it loads into that train for quick dispersion onto different planets. And so what I think is cool about it is it can fly in various different things. So it can literally fly as a spaceship, right? It comes, they drop it out of the main spaceship, right? And to drop it off, and it can fly back on its own, but it also can be used as a gunship. And you guys see the two things that open up on the sides there that shoot the missiles. It has a gun on the front. And you can quickly drop off your personnel and then quickly get out of there really, really fast. I love that. That's one of my favorite shots in Aliens, is when it opens up. One of the things I don't like about Aliens is you never get to see that thing in like main action. I wanted to see that thing go toe to toe with something and just like launch a bunch of missiles and stuff. I know like Bishop shoots some stuff, but like I wanted to see that thing like take out a bunch of aliens, but it never does. But you see, there you go. The APC loads right into it. You can get your troops quick in and out of any situation, have it fly off, and you can get your guys out of there quickly too. You have your APC can load right back in and get them out of a terrible situation if they're trapped in a thing. So it's just a great all-around vehicle. It looks hella cool. And one of the things that I found out about it is in this particular thing here where it has the actual, like, it's called the dropship, and it drops right there. It gets low enough to the planet that it uses the planet's own gravity, so they don't have to use their engines until they get down into the atmosphere. So literally they're using the Earth's the planet's gravity to drop, and they're just letting the ship drop right out of the thing. It doesn't need anything to project it out of the vehicle or out of the main ship. It's literally just dropping it and letting the planet do the work, which I thought, I was like, I just found that out during the research, and we're like, that's really cool. But anyway, that's UD4 Cheyenne dropship from Aliens. And I think it is hella cool. And we were talking about, I mean, I know there's probably toys now, but when I was a kid, they definitely did not have toys of that. I wish, man, if they had toys of that, I would have been all over that thing. Because that thing is so cool.
Playing out the scenes you never saw in the movie.
Hell yeah. Blowing up aliens. Yeah, with shooting rockets with my dropship.
Not really like a kid's toy per se, more of a collectible,
Well, compared to what? To Star Wars? They had like Star Wars and all the rest of those toys they could add.
But I wouldn't think of like kids watch Star Wars. Kids wouldn't have really
been it's like a hard
Aliens.
R, but
like
I mean, this is like
just because you did doesn't mean it's normal. We've been through this. But anyways, Matt,
that's my number 2.
Okay, my number 1 is obviously my favorite vehicle of all time. Got the background. I'll go back there and play some Hollow Chess later. In my Millennium Falcon, the greatest spaceship in a movie series of all time. It always annoyed me when Luke Skywalker sees it for the first time and he calls it a piece of junk. Yeah. And you got to be like, yo, hayseed, that thing's amazing. And the one thing that the Millennium Falcon does is brings whoever's flying it, their cool level up. It doubles. Doesn't matter which character, because it has several pilots throughout the series. Han Solo, obviously, Lando, Rey, Poe for a minute, but even that brings up the cool level of that character. It brings it up. Even if you're the co-pilot, Chewie, Nine Num, Rey is Han's co-pilot for a little bit. What is the droid's name? Lando's droid. L3.
L337 or whatever.
She's terrific too. The design, the interior, it's similar to the Mariners boat in Waterworld. It's their home. The line itself, Chewie, we're home, is said in The Force Awakens, and you really feel that for sure, because that's where they live, that's where they work, that's how they make a living, is all with this ship.
Why did you leave Duquesne out? Why didn't you mention Duquesne as one of the owners?
Because he's not cool.
You missed a couple other pilots on that. Jay Bedard and myself piloted the Falcon.
So jealous.
And sat behind the hollow chest set there and flew that. And
thanks for watching.
To safety, maybe we may have hit a few things as we flew. But...
I was supposed to go this year. Oh, it's a bummer. Like all last year, since summer of 2019, it's like, it's there, it's ready. I think a year had passed, and I was like, okay, I'm going. And we made, we didn't make reservations or anything. We couldn't cancel. But it was very much a bummer when it was obvious we weren't going to be going this year. Yeah. And that's all I wanted to do. It's like, let's go to Disney World. Okay.
Oh,
and then certain things kind of, my girlfriend would say, oh, my cousins want to come. It's like, great. He's like, do you mind? It's like, does it mean I can't fly the Falcon? It's like, no. Well, then bring them along.
They can be the gunners. They can navigate. They don't need to.
It's like, and there's like, I think we're going to stay here or whatever. It's cheaper and stuff. It's like, okay. It's like, do you mind? Does it mean I can't fly the Falcon? It's like, no, I guess not. It's like, then let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll agree to anything so long as it means I get to fly the Millennium Falcon when we show up.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet, and it's not on my list, but it was pretty sweet, I will say.
I've never cared about Disneyland or Disney World at all. When me and my parents went to Florida, we were like, okay, do we spend our time at Universal, and do you want to split it and do part at Disneyland, part at Universal? And we end up spending it all at Universal, because I was like, I don't care about Disneyland. But as soon as that thing opened up, I was like, okay, I guess I have to go to Disneyland now.
Sounds unbelievable.
Like, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Very good choice, Matt.
Absolutely. So
I definitely like that choice.
Let's get to something equally as epic. Okay, with my number one here. Let's get to a friend of mine, Mr. Paul Rubens, aka Pee Wee Herman. This climbed my list as the days passed. It just kept going because we had a conversation about this. This is obviously from Pee Wee's Big Adventure, Tim Burton's 1985 film, the Schwinn cruiser bike that essentially is the end all and be all of Pee Wee's existence.
This is plot of the movie.
This essentially, you don't have that bike, you don't have his adventure. The entire adventure is to get that bike back, and it is quite the adventure. But I will just aside from how great this film is and everything, that bike, he made you want to have that bike when you watch that film. The way
other people wanted to do.
Oh well, yeah. Francis, but. You saw it, and it's just a bicycle, right? But the way he treated it, the way he acted about it, and how much, he could have had any amount of money for it. No way. This is all I want in my life. And he travels all the way to Hollywood and back again. Yeah, the Alamo. Yeah. and you know what? Funnily enough, I was watching this, and he winds up at this place with dinosaur, like huge model dinosaurs, right? And I was watching it, and I went, "Those are from the movie The Wizard." And they're the same. They're the same dinosaurs. I forget what it's called. There's the name for the place. But anyways, it makes appearance in both films. But I was like, this has to be. I know it's just a bicycle. I know it doesn't compare in power and everything else. But when in driving a film, it's this bike, and even so much so that when the show comes out later, a few years later, Pee-wee's Playhouse, the bike isn't there, but they have he has a scooter that ends the show, but it's very clearly the same color, the same design, and he almost sort of spun it off of this, right? That he leaves.
And in Pee-wee's special, doesn't he write it with Joe Manganiello? Don't the two of them?
In the holiday
thing. Because that's one of the funniest things.
Yeah, that's right.
I love that's one of my favorites too. My favorite scene, and you kind of hit on it, is the first scene with Francis, and you're like, Pee-wee, it's my birthday today, and do you know what I want for my birthday?
He says, Dad says I can have anything I want.
You know what I want? A new brain? Yeah. No, I want your bike.
You can't have it. Yeah. Anyway, such a classic film. But
Francis.
So the Schwinn, by the way, I would ride that bike today. Okay,
sure. Who wouldn't?
Sure. I don't even like the movie. That's incredible. That's iconic. That's an incredible bike.
What you got, Scott?
Oh, I picked the DeLorean too. I mean, you can load it up. What is this? A time machine for ants? Let's just bring up the photo.
Whoa!
Hey! That looks awesome.
Huge. That's gigantic.
It's like an artist rendering. I say same as that. It's incredible. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. I saw the movie when I was 3. I thought it was the nicest, coolest thing I'd ever seen. They shoot Zemeckis shoots the ever-living shit out of that to make it look larger than life. He gives it exactly. It's like one long telethon for the John DeLorean himself. That whole first movie, it's one long ad. It's the nicest, coolest thing, and it's the biggest plot point. The fact at the end when it flies I couldn't imagine seeing that movie in theaters. I mean, you just be like, oh my God, they look kind of changes they make to that and the ability to. And like we talked about, when it gets struck by lightning, which in the second one ties back to the first one, because again, of course it does. And then that sets up the adventure for the third, and it's buried there, and they go. It's the greatest vehicle in film. I do regret not putting ships, just like yourself. The Falcon's great, but even then, keeping it just to vehicles that can be driven and are central to the plot. The DeLorean for Back to the Future is my number one, easily by a million football fields. So.
One of the interesting things about it is the set designers, or the guys who put all the accessories onto it and stuff, were actually happy that after the Eric Stoltz, was fired or whatever, and they were bringing in Michael J. Fox, people have asked him, was that like a burden for you? He's like, no, because then we got to go back in and fix the little things we wanted to when they were shooting with Eric Stoltz. They saw dailies or whatever, and they're like, oh, that could be better. That could be better. I wish we had a second chance at this. And they did. So they, put brighter lights and, extra accessories on there.
There's one little shot too. Oh, sorry. Go on. Finish that thought.
No, there's 3 cars in the first movie. They're the A car where essentially Marty and Doc sit. And that's when you can really see, the best detail, and the lights are the brightest and stuff. One that drives around slowly, that pulls into a place, and then Doc exits. That's like the B car, and then the C car, which they use to drive, quickly around the mall parking lot and stuff.
Yeah. And then, so the C car must be the one when he's going back from 55 after the dance. I just love when he drives and he cuts on the dime and lines up, and he gets out and puts the rod on. But the way that he turns, Michael J didn't do that, but a stunt driver did. And just the way he turns that car and lines it up I could watch that scene on Never Ending Loop. It's so smooth. So easily my number one.
All right, so I guess that leaves me. So you doubled up with those guys.
Yep,
I'm gonna double up with the other guy there and talk about a hunk of junk, fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy. There was no doubt that the Millennium Falcon was not going to be my number one. Ever since I was 3 years old, it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen in my life. I talked about my toy of the AT-AT. I had the Millennium Falcon, and it was my pride and joy. I still have it. It's at my parents' house. It's kind of beat up, but it's still pretty good condition. It still looks incredible. I love we talked a lot about like its functionality and like the things that it does. For me, I love the sounds and like a lot of the things like where I talked about the Ecto ones, the siren. I love the sounds when it blasts off. I love that boom, that thump where it kicks in. I love the way that it moves. Everything about it. I love that. Even right there, you can see that blue light in the back there, just that glow. I've always loved the Falcon. I mean, obviously, I'm a big Han guy. I just love the mythology of it that's built throughout the whole saga. That you haven't heard of the Millennium Falcon? It was the ship that made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, right? And then Solo, you find out about that whole run, and you learn about the modifications and stuff that they've made on it throughout the years, and just the whole idea of it is really cool that you've got this, like, basically for all intents and purposes, a pirate ship, right? He's a smuggler, he's a pirate, and he's made all these little compartments and hidden chambers in there to smuggle stuff in. And like Matt said, it's a house. It's their house, and it's just like like an actual pirate. It would be where they live. They live on the ship, and they have their mess hall where they eat, and all the different parts where they hang out and play chess, play their hollow chess and all that stuff. And
Lando had a cape room.
The cape room at the cape room. Oh, you don't want to know what else goes on in there with robots. Apparently, it's just so, to me, it's just so cool, and I just love that. Just when you look at it from the top, that circle, it just looks neat.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
And you have we'll just mention it here because it's visible. The window of the cockpit, extra iconic. So much so that there's a window on the International Space Station that they designed to look like that.
Oh, that's cool. Amazing.
Yeah.
And the part that always fell off the toy.
100%. Mine is still on there, but it definitely comes off.
Mm-hmm.
It's so iconic to the whole franchise. Constantly pops up, and it just encompasses all that Star Wars is to me. It's like going on these adventures. Flying around with your friends and your family, getting in adventures in your ship.
I think there was an idea for like Return of the Jedi that the Rebel Alliance would have like 6 of them in their fleet.
Oh,
to fight off
goodness.
the yeah.
Well, also it was supposed to be destroyed in Return of the Jedi as well. Mm-hmm. The whole iconic line of I just had this feeling that I'm never going to see her again.
Right.
And it's because he wasn't supposed to see it again. Right. He was supposed to blow up, and thankfully they didn't. They chose not to do that for the fact that we get more Lando, and also because we got more Falcon.
Yeah.
I honestly, I would have been 6 or 7 when Return of the Jedi came out. If they blew up the Falcon at the end of Return of the Jedi, there would be no Ewok dance for me. I would have been so mortified. I would not have been celebrating with the Ewoks. I would have been mourning with Luke and Vader over Vader, except I would have been mourning the ashes of the Falcon. Like, thank goodness. Good choice, Richard Marquand.
A great part in The Last Jedi when it returns and on Crate, it shows up, and after years of fighting the Empire with it, and it always coming out on top, and obviously Kylo Ren or Ben Solo's hatred of his father and stuff points in the sky and says, "Blow that piece of junk out of the sky." I lost it. I was like, that it encompasses exactly what the Empire feels about that shit.
Well, even Vader, I want that shit.
Yes,
right. He's like.
The things that the sequel trilogy does the best is the reverence for the Falcon. Like,
this is the Millennium Falcon.
Finding like that in all this stuff in 7, the like the jungle will do, and then they go back and the music hits, and like the way that they treat it in 7 and 8.
The tarp flies
fine,
off of it,
but exactly like they hold it to like of all the things that they did right and wrong in the sequel trilogy, they were like universal home runs with everything that they did with the Falcon.
Sure,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
As they should, because it's the greatest thing, and it's the greatest vehicle of all time.
I can't disagree. I should have put ships. It'd probably be my 2. But yeah,
It's not a bicycle, but
It'll get you around.
Well, to be fair, your bicycle yours pretty reliable, whereas the Falcon, you never know whether it's going to hit light speed or not, right? Yeah. And you're like, could or may not hit light speed. You never know. Whereas you bike, get on your bike, you know what you're doing to do.
So, that's true. And plus, at one point, James Brolin rode the bike. So
yes.
That's
true. Great. That's my favorite part of the movie. Is seeing the Pee-wee movie at the end of it.
Yeah.
That is
funny. So that's our list. Our top 5 favorite vehicles in movies. Do you agree with our list? Do you disagree? Let us know what's on your list. I know there are plenty of car people who could do their top 20 favorite cars from movies, just cars, excluding, ships and bicycles and rollerblades and whatnot. So I want to thank everybody for watching and thank you guys for coming out and giving us your top 5 lists. I want to remind everybody to like, share, and subscribe to the video. So hit Facebook, Mack Flash Entertainment on Facebook, Mack Flash on Instagram. Visit Patreon, sign up. You'll get exclusive shows and games and stuff like that. Is there anything I'm missing? Stay tuned for the quickie for the quiz. Make sure you do that. That'll be on later today. It'll be questions all about the stuff you just heard us talk about. So it's almost an open book test. And let us know your score in the comments on that video. If there's nothing else, guys, I think that's it.
I'm gonna go ride my bike out of here. So
yeah, for sure. I'm gonna hit this. I gotta
light speed
out of here. Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time.